Hi, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I figured I would just sit down and do a little uni advice video, just because I think I have quite a lot of experience with uni at this point. Like, I have been doing it for a long time. I have made one of these before, and it was a long time ago, back when I first started doing psychology at the University of Manchester, and I had just suspended my studies, and that was titled What Not to Do at Uni. Watching that was a lot. It was so awkward. It's so funny. This is so awkward. So this is more what to do at uni now that I have actually finished it. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And if you do have any questions that I don't answer in this video, feel free to comment them down below and I'll get back to you. I have a little notebook with all the advice, but before we get in that, let me just give you my credentials. So in 2018, I enrolled at the University of Manchester. I did about a month of psychology before I decided to drop out. I just did a suspended study, so I came back the next year, did a full year of psychology, then decided that that wasn't for me, and then finally I enrolled at Man and did illustration with animation, and I did that to its completion. So I'm just trying to say, like, I've kind of been through it. I've thought all the thoughts. I thought I was ruining my life a few times, but yeah, I'm okay now. So if you are in that situation, then things work out. Anyway, with all that being said, let's actually get into the advice. So, first piece of advice, make sure you really think about the course that you're applying to. So I did psychology because I thought it's what I should do, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do, and that led me to get pretty burnt out pretty quickly. I also wasn't doing well mentally, but we'll get into that later. I think follow your passions. I've always really loved art. I remember when I was a kid, I always wanted to be an artist, and then as I got older, I realized, like, the world is cold and I'm not allowed to do what I want. And then I realized I can do what I want, and yeah, that's why I went back and did an art degree instead. So basically, I just want you to keep that in mind and do something that you care about so that you can get through it even during the harder parts. Also, clearing is always an option. They tend to have spare places on other courses if you do change your mind. You can also do suspended years, you can change course. Just make sure you ask and find out what your options are. Like, don't feel like you're stuck in a course. Okay, so now we're moving on to the fun part, which is moving out. During my time at uni, I have moved out around 3 times. Because I was in lockdown, it wasn't as many as it would have been, and I never moved into a house. I was always in the student accommodation, so keep that in mind when I'm talking. If you are moving into a house, just to get this out quickly, make sure that you talk to the people you're moving in with, see if you have the same vibe, because I almost moved in with people who were pretty nasty, and I only found that out after I couldn't move in with them. So if you don't get on, you can kind of back out before you commit. But when it comes to student accommodation, which is probably what you'll be moving into if you're in first year, I have some good reasons to move out and some warnings. I definitely think it's worth moving out if you want independence, if you want to move away from home, if you have to move because your uni's in a new city. But I also wanted to add like a disclaimer to the accommodation, because I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you're gonna make your best friends in your accommodation. You might not get on with everybody that you live with, and that's okay. Don't let it ruin your whole uni experience, because all my friends that I've ever made have been in the course and never where I've lived. But I just want to kind of give a warning, because I definitely went in thinking I'm gonna make my best friends ever, and then when I didn't, I took a knock about the whole uni experience. So there's a little disclaimer. Also, warning, people are gross. Student accommodation is like a lot. I don't know how people live like that, but it seems to be consistent. If you are like a germaphobe, if you don't like to share spaces with people, it could be worth looking into your own accommodation. Also, make sure you check what things are provided with your room. So like, do you get a sink? Do you get an ensuite? Do you get a double bed? All these things that might make you feel uncomfortable if you don't have them. I had a sink in my first one and quickly realized that I do not like sharing bathrooms with people, so when I moved out next time, I made sure it had an ensuite. Also, I'm not sure if this just applies to Manchester or if it is everywhere in general, but from what I've found is that cheaper places are not as nice, but the social life tends to be a bit better. But the more expensive places tend to be nicer. Not the kitchens, not the shared kitchens, but your room will be nicer. The people aren't as friendly from what I've seen. There's not much of a party culture, so just keep that in mind if that is what you're expecting from uni. Alright, here's the fun advice for moving out. So you really need to make sure that you make the room your own. When you move in, it's going to look like a little prison cell. Just really make it feel like your space, and that might be minimal, but just make it your own. I brought a lot of books, I bought some plants, teddies, bedding. Smell was also really important for me, because sometimes like other people's smells kind of aren't great. So I always had candles. We weren't allowed to light them, but they still made the room smell nice. And I also had an air freshener like on hand. So definitely make the space your own, whatever that means to you. Just a warning with decorating your own space. If you are going to be buying things while you're at uni, just try to keep in mind that if you do need to move back home afterwards, that you are going to have to find a space for all of this stuff. So I learned that the hard way. I have so much stuff and nowhere to put it. Budgeting is really important. You're going to be on limited funds. Figure out how much you can spend on like fun, how much you need for food, how much you need for rent. Don't just spend it all in Freshers Week or whatever and then regret it. All right. I always budgeted in my bullet journal. I made a little finance page, but however you need to do it, like whatever it takes, just have like a little finance thing so you know how much you're spending and how much you have left. And then final advice for moving out is just to really make sure and try to look after yourself, because I know it can be really hard. So just try to make sure you're looking after yourself. That means meal plans, buying food. I always had a snack drawer because I found it a bit like anxiety inducing to go into the kitchen sometimes. So I will recommend a snack drawer because it makes life a lot easier. Staying hydrated, keeping your room somewhat tidy. I know that can be really hard. My room has seen some things. It really does help with your mental health, especially when you're already overwhelmed with uni and like everything else that's going on. So that is my advice about moving out. Next advice is all about staying productive and getting your work done. And if you have watched any of my student vlogs, you'll know that I really struggle with this. So keep in mind that it was never really that successful, but these are the little things that kind of help me get work done. First thing is journaling. I have mentioned bullet journaling quite a bit in my channel, and I do have a video on setting one up, but if this is something that interests you, if you're more on like the arty side, journaling can really help, and it makes it kind of fun, and then you can keep track of all the work you need to be doing. Otherwise, you might just want to use a regular journal or even just a calendar, but something visual where you can see all the work you need to get done and any deadlines, because for me at least, if I can't see the deadline, it does not exist. Apps that you can look into. So one app that I really like is the Forest app. I'm pretty sure it is just called Forest. Basically what it does is lock you out of your phone for however long you tell it to, and at the end of it, it will grow a tree or a bush. So if your phone is something that distracts you a lot, it can be pretty good because you do get a little reward at the end because you get a little tree. Yeah, that's one that I liked. It's really important to not burn yourself out by just doing work non-stop, but it's also really important that you don't not do your work. So I think finding the balance of that and like making sure that you're looking after yourself and that you get free time to have fun is really important. So give yourself free time. Make sure you go out while you're doing work. Like it can be really nice to go to the library or just a cafe, like just to kind of shake it up a little bit and, you know, keep your brain engaged, I guess. Last little piece of advice with work is just to consider whether you need to buy any new tech, any new software, anything like that. In my first year of illustration with animation, and it did help that it was in lockdown because I didn't have to move out, I decided to buy an iPad Pro, and that has honestly been one of the best decisions that I made at uni. Keeping in mind that I am an art student, so apps like Procreate and stuff were really helpful. But saying that, if you need to buy a laptop, that's also pretty good if you need to be doing lecture notes and stuff. But then there's nothing wrong with going old school, so next advice is all about being social and making friends. This is the part that has always intimidated me and made me a little bit stressed about uni. But the ultimate advice that you will hear from everyone, and it is true, is just to get involved with everything that interests you, like societies, talk to all your classmates, go to events. Basically, if someone asks you to go somewhere, say yes. I think it's the best way to kind of meet new people. I kind of got stuck in a thing of thinking I wasn't good enough to talk to people, or like, you know, thinking people were too cool to go up to, but I think everybody's pretty much on the same page. Like everyone's interested in making friends. It might be worth meeting them. Saying that though, sometimes it can take a while to make friends. Sometimes it takes a while to get comfortable enough to go out and stuff. Don't beat yourself up if you start to isolate yourself, because I think that makes it worse. Always give yourself the ability to reset. So never kind of write yourself off and be like, right, this is who I am now, I just sit in my room and don't talk to people. Me. If you feel like you're starting to isolate yourself, please ask for help, be it from your family, your friends, your uni, whoever. That's my advice. Also, you might not meet your core friend group until the end of uni, and I know it sucks, but I didn't make my friends until like the beginning of third year, the end of second year, so it's definitely not just an instant thing. For some people it is though, just to say that, but like, don't beat yourself up if you haven't haven't made any friends yet. Also, when it comes to being social, I really recommend, and this is hard, but just be yourself, express yourself through your clothing, like really experiment with your like self-identity and stuff, because I feel like that's how you attract the people that you actually want to be friends with. And I kind of wish I'd done that a bit more and just be confident in yourself, which again is easier said than done, but I really believe in you. Also, this isn't quite social, but it does link into it, and that is just to explore your campus, see what's on offer, find a nice cafe, see if there's any museums nearby, like things that you can go to for free. Just make sure that you explore it and see what's going on, because I didn't find some places until 3rd year and I kind of regret that. Alright, and then my final piece of advice is all about mental health and looking after it. So at least for me, I kind of didn't realize how much help I needed in the mental health aspect when I first started uni, which kind of led me to being so overwhelmed that I did in the end drop out. But I was really struggling. My first 2 attempts at uni were just completely unhinged. I was on my YouTube channel crying for the most part, saying how I hate uni. I think my biggest advice with that is it's okay to drop out, it's okay to take time out of uni, it's okay if you decide that uni isn't for you, be that because of your mental health or not. Alright, so first piece of advice with this is to take advantage of any mental health services that are provided by the uni or just in your city. I know in Manchester there's like 42nd Street, and then both of the unis also provide counselling services. Just like as a general advice, if you don't like the first counsellor, don't write off counselling as a whole, because not all counsellors are the same and some of them do suck, but it can be worth finding the one that's nice to you. But just try to have the confidence to send an email and be like, I can't talk to this person anymore. Also, I would definitely recommend talking to your GP or doctor about your mental health struggles, just so you can have it on the record, because then you can provide that to the uni, who will take that into consideration if you need to do a suspended study, if you need to drop out or change course, or if you just need extensions on your work and things like that. It's really important to kind of link it all together, and I really wish that I would have sorted that sooner, because I only kind of sorted things out in 3rd year. At least at ManMet you can get like a personal learning plan, which is quite useful, so they'll take into consideration any like things that are affecting you and make a personalized plan over it. But yeah, just make sure you look into that and what things are on offer to you. Big piece of advice: if you do feel like you need to be assessed for any sort of mental illness, any sort of learning disability, anything like that, I would really recommend getting that going in your 1st year, if not sooner. If you're not in your 1st year and you're in your 2nd or 3rd, like it's fine, like just get it going. I didn't start mine until 2nd year, and it still hasn't gone through even now, and I've finished uni, so everything moves very slowly. So if you really do think you need support with something like ADHD, things like that, I would definitely get that on the go. At least at my uni, they do allow you to hand in the assessment letter, so basically just your doctor referring you as evidence. I don't think you get like the full package, but you do get some extra support. Last thing to say before I go is just that everybody's life and everybody's experience is going to be completely different. Just because maybe your friend went straight into uni and got it done straight away doesn't mean that that's your path or what you should be doing. Like, if you need to take a break for whatever reason, that's okay. If you decide that uni isn't for you, whether you decide that before you go to uni or in the middle of it, that's fine. I know it can be hard when you've got people expecting things of you. I definitely felt a lot of pressure from my family, and dropping out was one of the hardest things that I did, but I really am glad that I did it because it let me do something that I care about. But yeah, uni can be really hard, and especially when you're dealing with other things on top of it, so don't beat yourself up. Everything will work out fine, because I know people who've dropped out, I know people who did it on the first go, and they're all doing fine, so just keep that in mind, because it does feel like the end of the world when it's happening to you. Alright, so that is the end of the video. Like I said, if you do have any more questions, please comment them down below because I'm happy to answer anything. If you did like this video, make sure you leave a like, and if you want to subscribe, that would be great because I'll miss you if you don't. So with all of that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Alright, thank you for watching. Bye. So just try for like future people, if you ever watching this video. Oh my god, why can't I speak today? I just want to say I don't know video, but you need to, oh my god, that doesn't make sense. Just cut this part, you know, software. And basically you can set a timer. Wait, oh my gosh. And I decided to buy a